Right now here on Good Morning Quad Cities, why Rock Island city leaders are going to look at their spending policies further.
Plus, why some Davenport teachers are going back to work in August after losing their jobs a few months ago.
We've got rain on the radar, and this is just the beginning of what could be a stormy day. We'll track it all for you in the Quad Cities Accurate Forecast. The time now, 5 o'clock.
Live from WQAD, this is News 8's Good Morning Quad Cities.
Good morning and welcome. It is Wednesday, June 12th. I'm Angie Sharp.
And I'm Jonathan Katz. Thank you for joining us. Our top story this morning, Rock Island City Council is going to look at its spending policies after questions about how a former alderman used his credit card. Rock Island Alderman Virgil Mayberry addressed the City Council Monday night after a report was released showing the city spent money to buy custom-made cufflinks, gasoline, and a bulletproof vest. Yesterday, Mayberry backed his purchases, pointing out the city administrator signed off on all of them. Mayor Mike Tome says there currently is no city rule that prohibits aldermen from buying those items. Tome says that needs to change.
When you've made a purchase on your purchase card, you don't see the statement till later. And so now the city's money's already been spent. And so how do you undo it? We're going to tighten this up. We are going to have a tighter process of approval.
The City Council is going to look into changing specific spending policies at next month's meeting.
In Your Voice, Your Vote coverage, 2020 Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden is going to be just north of the Quad Cities today after making a stop in Davenport yesterday. The former vice president held a rally at the Mississippi Valley Fairgrounds. He also visited Ottumwa and Mount Pleasant yesterday. He addressed farmers who he says are struggling with the tariff war between the U.S. and China and talked about how he plans to build up the economy. While in Ottumwa, Biden targeted President Donald Trump, saying he's a threat to the country's core values.
But this is a guy who does everything to separate and frighten people. It's about fear and loathing. It's about the way he calls people the names he calls them. No president has done something like that, for God's sake.
Biden continues his Iowa campaign trip this morning with stops in Eldridge and Clinton. President Trump was also in Iowa yesterday. He toured an ethanol plant in Council Bluffs. The visit comes after he approved year-round sales of E15 ethanol set to begin this summer. E15 is a fuel additive produced from corn. Leaders with the Iowa Renewable Fuels Association say this will help farmers in the state, especially those impacted by trade disputes.
Within a year and a half, I would say you'll be in the best position that you've been in 15 years as farmers, and you deserve it. You deserve it.
We're going to see an immediate boost of several 100 million gallons in demand. And then long term is going to be much more significant than that. So it comes at a time where we need expansion within our ag market.
President Trump also spoke in West Des Moines at a private Republican fundraising event last night. The time is 5:03 and it's time to get ready for some rain. Storm Track 8 meteorologist Eric Sorensen is tracking that for us right now.
Yeah, not quite into the Quad Cities, Angie, just yet. A look at live traffic and weather conditions as we look out to I-80 and I should say I-280 and I-74. You're moving along just fine here this morning. We do have some showers that are inbound to the Quad Cities. We'll track those towards Muscatine right now. Should get into you in about 6 minutes time. And then there are a couple of little showers out in western Rock Island County. We'll track those toward Rock Island in about 19 minutes or so. So yeah, there is some rain on the way, even though it's been fairly dry during the overnight hours. These will kind of continue to ramp up as we head through the day. 64 is our temperature now at the Quad City International Airport. 63 in Davenport. Notice the winds are fairly light right now. 61 in Clinton and Savannah. 62 Sterling Rock Falls. 65 Burlington. Muscatine stands at 63. The hour-by-hour forecast for the next 8 on 8 keeps temperatures in the 60s today. Look at those rain chances, 80, 90% taking us right through the day. But we're not expecting much out of this system here for today and should be out by tomorrow. Find out how cool the temperatures are going to get coming up.
Eric, thank you. Some Davenport teachers who lost their jobs a few months ago are now being recalled and asked to come back to work this August.
News 8's Madison Connor joins us live in the studio to explain how some teachers are returning, but not everyone wants to come back right now, Madison.
That's right. 30 of the 76 teachers that were laid off are returning next school year, a majority of them belonging to the science and special education departments. The School Budget Review Committee mandated Davenport schools to cut more than $13 million from its general fund. Nearly 85% of the general fund goes towards salaries. So in March, 76 teachers were laid off, but now nearly all of them have been recalled. Of the ones that are set to return, some aren't returning to their original position, but other areas their certifications allow them to go. So far, 60 people have been called back, but only 30 have said yes, possibly due to how they were laid off in the first place.
We would really like to be here so that you can see us while you vote on our jobs.
This is ridiculous that we have come to this point. You all ought to be embarrassed.
And there is still a lot of scrutiny from the state of Iowa over Davenport's special education program. After the recall, 16 special education teaching positions are still open. John?
Madison, thank you very much. The school board's 5-year plan to save money also called for outsourcing some positions and changing the high school schedule to a traditional one instead of a block schedule. And still on the table, either closing or consolidating a school, which the board could revisit the idea for in the fall of 2021. We have an update this morning as we now know the names of the 2 people who died in a house explosion in Rapides, Illinois on Sunday. The Knox County Sheriff's Department says 77-year-old Wanda Swain and 51-year-old David Swain Jr., a mother and her son, died in Sunday's blast. Their bodies were found among the debris. The home was leveled with debris scattered around the neighborhood. The explosion also caused extensive damage to nearby homes. Kyle Beachy spoke with family members who didn't want to go on camera, but still talked about the 2 they lost.
It was nothing short of heartbreaking, tears pouring from Christy Swain Turner's eyes as her husband held her on the very spot where her mother and brother lost their lives. David Jr. had 3 children, an 8-year-old daughter, 2 adult children, and a granddaughter. Up the road, Kim Craver and Lori Anderson run the Fairview Cafe and are taking donations to help the family.
Spent a lot of time with the Swains. They are wonderful people.
Yeah.
They've been active in every community around here.
Anybody that needed help, they were there. I mean, always.
They tell me David Swain Sr. is the pastor at Union Church of Rapides.
The day of the explosion, he was across the street at the church giving a sermon when it happened. So he heard this happen and walked out and saw the devastation.
One churchgoer said she thought the walls were going to cave in. They ran from the church across the street where they saw nothing but smoke and rubble, windows blown out of nearby houses, furniture stuck in trees.
Dave and Wanda was just 2 of the most loving, wonderful people you'd ever meet in your life. I mean, they were there for everybody.
Christy Turner and her family came from Virginia, sifting through the rubble for keepsakes, family photos, anything they could find to remember her brother and mother.
It's just a tragedy what happened. So we decided to do a fundraiser and try to help him out a little bit. And, you know, that's just how we do in a small community.
They also lost their family pets, 2 dogs, including Maggie, who was found alive but died on Tuesday, and 2 cats, although one is still missing.
Well, Shannon Turner married into the Swain family in 1985, but he says he isn't a son-in-law. He was their son, and they treated everybody like family. He wants to say thank you to the entire community for their support.
A Canton, Illinois woman is dead this morning after a weekend motorcycle crash that was likely caused by freshly mowed grass. 59-year-old Cheryl Zeglin died at a hospital in Peoria on Monday after getting into an accident in Bureau County. Police say she alerted other motorcyclists of the cut grass. Soon after, she rear-ended her husband and was thrown off her bike. Motorcycle riders say fresh clippings are dangerous for them.
Our time right now is 5:08. Still to come here on Good Morning Quad Cities, a big play.
The home run and a saving catch that you have to see to believe. Eric?
8 minutes after 5, we're tracking showers outside this morning. I'll let you know if it's going to be an impact on the morning commute and a rise of a dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico. If you haven't heard about this, we've got the science for you next.
You're watching WQAD. This is News 8's Good Morning Quad Cities.